Then we answer the practical avalanche of questions from your many adoring and adorable fans. Beginning as we have for the past few months with Adam J. Elkhadem. Creator of, he left me a phone message. I don't think he pronounced it Octave. I think he pronounced it Octave. So I'm going to go with that conscious memory and call this character Octave the Artist, who said his own little avalanche. What is half an avalanche? A quarter lanche? Does that get converted to metric at the border? All of these questions. And the next one is, and here Dave reads and answers Adam's next question. Oh, I'm on. Here's Adam's letter here, and it hasn't budged off of the floor from the last few months. I'm terrified of misplacing it. Do you have any advice for writing dialogue that doesn't sound like a monologue in two voices? I find that creating extreme characters, I'm having trouble reading this word, aids in developing distinct voices. For more reasonable characters, it seems one sounds like all the rest, i.e. the Thing and Doctor Doom are clear, but also I'm a bit reluctant to create a comic populated entirely with that class of character, with good reason. Anything you do to make this possible, or do you stick to writing insane people most of the time? Well, not insane people, but idiosyncratic people. In your case, Adam, I would suggest, I'm going on the assumption that you're sticking to a largely minimalist style in your drawing with the new project that you're working on. Although it sounds like it's going to be drawn different from the way you drew Octave. Because of the minimalism, I would suggest the Reader's Digest on the answer would be you need to write characters where they're portraying themselves in what they're saying, but also inadvertently revealing who they actually are and their actual nature as a subtext that actually becomes the dominant text. And I would say the textbook I would suggest for you is read as much Jules Feiffer, back when he was doing the Feiffer comic strip in the Village Voice, because he was a master at exactly that complementary form of minimalism. Very, very, very simple drawings and very, very, very simple dialogue, but very, very richly textured dialogue, because you would read what it was the character was saying. And one of Pfeiffer's earliest collections was called The Explainers, which really summed up the kind of characters that he wrote. People who compulsively needed to explain their own behavior and explain situations. They don't just live their lives. If they can't explain everything at a deep psychological level, then that's when they start to become unhinged, insane characters. So they have this complete level of restraint to how they express themselves, but the restraint reveals more about them than they would want to reveal, and indicates that they're very different people from how they perceive themselves. So that would be my suggestion. In terms of my own writing, I'm not sure that I would recommend that. Most of the writing that I do now in a dialogue sense is confined to Cerebus and Hell with a question mark, and that's all it. That's Dave Sim, having spent a good 25 years trying to eliminate id from his own life and diminish id where he can't completely eliminate it. So consequently, because I'm documenting characters that are in, if they're not in hell, they're in hell with a question mark. They're in purgatory, or they're atoning, or most of them are just chasing themselves around in circles. So consequently, it's just as soon as I have a cover from one of the guys, Birdsong, Hobbs, Sean Robinson, then it's just, okay, where's the id in this? And the id is always readily apparent, because I was definitely a id-driven person his own pleasure centers in his brain as hard and fast and constantly as he possibly can, wins in the end. And boy, I definitely live that kind of lifestyle. So unless you're doing a comparable kind of work to Cerebus in Hell with a question mark, I would definitely recommend Pfeiffer. And I'll say from your own work, one of the things that really jumped out at me in Octave, and I thought, that's good. That's really, really good, because that's consciously arrived at, and it's again the two different levels. And the moment was when Octave the Artist, who is trying to maintain a strict art for art's sake lifestyle, and debates this and discusses this pretty extensively, both with himself and with the other characters in the story, that art for art's sake is being lost, and this is what Octave is obsessively pursuing in his own life, is art for art's sake as an absolute. And what he does is a coffee mug that says art for art's sake. And it's like, I just couldn't stop laughing when I got to that part, because it was, yeah, there you go. Somebody who understands the concept of art for art's sake and understands the levels that exist to art for art's sake, and is determined to arrive at an absolute human peak of art for art's sake. And he merchandises it. And it was very funny that then you actually merchandised it, so you could get your Octave art for art's sake coffee mug just by sending in this much money to this address. And I definitely wondered how many of those coffee mugs you sold, and how many of the people were reading, your weekly strip, and went, oh, great, a coffee mug, I'll order one of those, and didn't realize exactly what you were doing, exactly the extent of the cross wires you were presenting people with. If you're reading a comic strip about a character who is an absolutist art for art's sake, you don't want to buy a coffee mug with a picture of that character on it. Or maybe you do. Maybe it's one of those 2023 things, and I don't get it.
Okay. What I would suggest would be get a book where it is a dialogue, like Will Eisner's Shop Talk, and just read that, and you get the idea of, okay, these are two people talking. So, like you and I are talking, it's like, okay, are we interrupting each other, or are one of us going off in a tangent and the other one's trying to bring it, dragging, kicking, and screaming back to what we were originally talking about?
Right, and that's when you have to make the decision as to whether you're going to stick there and go, okay, this is everything that I'm doing here is completely surface. It's just conversation, badminton. This guy says this thing, that guy says that thing, this guy says this thing, and gradually that leads to something, because it definitely complicates writing dialogue when you get to the point of, what is this character actually saying? I know what they think they're saying, and I know how they perceive of themselves, but who are they really? And that's definitely one of the great sources of humor, both in the real world and in fiction, is the contrast between what people think that they're saying and what they're actually saying and what they're actually participating in. That very possibly they don't want to be participating in that, or they would be horrified if they thought, is that what I'm actually saying? And it's like, arguably, yes, which comes down to arguably somebody could argue about that, or arguably I would argue that, which is one of those things that I've started doing in my commentaries a couple of years back. If you use the term arguably, you really do have to qualify it and say, I'm not just talking about a hypothetical other person who might argue this. This is what I'm arguing. This is what I think hews closer to the truth than what is ostensibly being said.
Right.